Good evening. This is another video for the Room of Requirement. For those of you who saw the last time, you already know how this works. For those of you who are viewing this one first, shame of you for doing it out of order. But how it works, obviously, is that I make a post and people ask me questions, and then I answer the questions here in video, a whole bunch of them all at once, so that I'm not going question by question, post by post, and filling up your stream with stuff about Bliss. You're welcome. So, for this video, the very first question that I have is from Jeremy Dwiggins, who asks, what is the best thing make? Of course, the best thing make is to crush my frenemies, see them driven before me, and hear the lamentations of their crafting shops. Or something. I think that probably the root of this question comes out of the fact that I make many, many things. I quilt, I crochet, I knit, I spin, I take sweaters apart to use the yarn that is in them. I do wire wrap jewelry. I make hand-bound books. I do a lot of things. Like a lot of things. You can tell because I know that I'm forgetting a whole handful of things. It's hard to say what is the best because the question there is that the one that I am best at doing, or is it the one that I make that people like the most? Arguably, if we go by what is the best thing that I make that people like the most, I would have to say that it's my writing. I write things, I write really interesting things, and apparently I do it well because people give me money for it. It's very exciting. It makes me happy to do. I think I just answered the question. The best thing make is writing! So on to the next question. Rowan or Rowan, I know that there's more than one way to pronounce it, and so I'm not quite sure. I'm going to go with Rowan because I like that. Rowan Coda asks, if you had $1 million and the only requirement was that you couldn't use the money to buy anything for anyone else, what would you do with it? I would buy all the things! Actually, I have had the experience in my life of seeing how far $1 million actually goes. Not for me, but someone very close to me that I know won $1 million on a scratch ticket. And you'd be surprised how $1 million really does not go that far. Although, granted, from the lottery, you lose at least half of it in pretty much any state to taxes and whatnot. If I had $1 million that I couldn't use to buy anything for anyone else, I'm presuming that this also discounts donating things to charity, etc., etc., because it would basically be using the money for someone else. If I had to be completely selfish with it, first of all, I would totally go through my Amazon wish list and see what was in there that I really genuinely wanted to buy for myself and then buy said things. But really probably, and I know this is such a douchey grown-up sort of way of looking at it, but I would throw a whole bunch of it into investments. Just, long-term secure things with regular returns so that I would have independent wealth and have that money continue to generate money for me so that I could continue to buy things for myself and live independently and have a fun little cottage by the sea with awesome internet and a big wall to keep everybody the hell out because I love people but only when I want to see them. And, do the crazy writer thing, living by my ocean and making the best thing make. Look, it all comes together. The next question that we have is from Liz Phillips. Liz asks, if you could save time in a bottle, what is the one thing you would do? And she also says, thanks, Jim Croce? I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Woe is me. For the inspiration. Although I do know the song, and I've got to admit that I know the song because of the Muppets, but it's a great video, makes me cry. Anyway, if I could save time in a bottle, what is the one thing I would do? It would fuel my TARDIS, of course. Evan Peterson asks, what is the kindest thing someone else has ever done for you? A lot of you are aware that I am separated and that I am trying to get moving on the whole divorce proceedings thing. I think that probably the kindest thing that someone else has ever done for me was when I called my parents when I had reached the end of all that could be born with trying to stay in a relationship that was bad for everyone involved. And I asked my mom, I didn't even ask, could I said, if I ever were to need someplace else to go live, would there be room for me and my children with my parents? And without a second's thought, without a moment's hesitation, she said, yes, absolutely. Let me look at my calendar. We can move you here by this date. And they did. My parents moved me and my children in with them, and we have been living with them for not quite a year and a half now. It's been a little more difficult than expected because I thought that I would be able to find a job pretty quickly, and it's been over a year and I am technically still unemployed. By my books. But yeah, I know that there's a lot of people that would say, oh, well, that's just what parents are for. That's what your mom is supposed to do, is say, yes, of course, you can come. But really, I know so many people whose parents would have hemmed or hawed or said, let me get back to you, or it would have been much more troublesome in some way. There was never any doubt, there was never any question. I said, I need this. And they said, we're here. So, yeah, that is without a doubt the kindest thing that anybody has ever done for me. And I think that this marks the end of this particular video. It's been 7 minutes, which seems like the magical marker point for this kind of thing. So, thank you for coming and asking questions and listening to the answers, and feel free to ask me more things in the room of requirement. Bye!